and ultramontanism triumphs, the Pope is raised up to the level where all power is seated in him, but apparently he is toothless and has no power. Now, why is it that the very ones who run Masonry, who are the Jesuits, are the one who see to it that the papacy rises to this ultramontanist power? And now they have to plan their final strategy. Who were the enemies of Rome? There were two major role players who would not buckle under. The Protestants, where were they situated? They were situated in Germany, and they were situated in the Protestant countries around that area, Czechoslovakia, and all those areas. And then there were the Orthodox, who would not buckle under the papacy. That split and that rift was very ancient. And all the world needs to be under Rome. So it was necessary to create a thrust into the East to take control of all Orthodox countries. Now, those first wars that Napoleon fought was to soften up the hold of those nations and to break them down to the point where the final takeover could take place. The next war was to take that situation even further until the stage was set when Masonry could go in and with the power of the people topple all those regimes and enforce their rule. And that happened in 1917 when the Bolshevik Revolution took place. They had everything in control. The next problem was to rid the world of Protestantism, those that believed the Bible. That is the war of Catholicism. I want to tell you that every single war that was fought on this planet, well, let's not say every single one, but 99% of them were religious. So the Ultramontanists triumphed by 1870. By the end of 1870, the Pope apparently had only a tiny little piece of the Vatican left over. He was a prisoner, but he was hailed the greatest man, but his people were in control of every government. Unbelievable how brilliantly they worked. They infiltrated everything. By 1917, the Russian Revolution took place. Fatima's message from Mary: Russia will be converted, the Holy Father will consecrate Russia to me. The other vision was a vision of hell, and the third had recently been revealed, referring to the assassination attempt of Pope John Paul II. So now you have the system going in, suppressing the Orthodox Church. Rome says, Mary promised that they would be consecrated to me. You're setting up a good cop. Sooner or later, this good cop will come and say, Orthodox Church, if you listen to me, I will set you free. How nice. By 1928, the papal nuncio in Germany, Pazzali, left the powerful center party to the right. Adolf Hitler comes to power. Now, who was Adolf Hitler? Well, Adolf Hitler was trained by the Jesuits. And if you look at the book Mein Kampf, on the back, it even has the priest, the Roman Catholic Jesuit priest, who wrote the Mein Kampf for him, or dictated most of it. And by 1929, the papacy is declared sovereign ruler of the world. They had everything in place. Now, Pike said there would be 3 major world wars. The first, the second, and then the final religious battle to rid this planet, finally, of every last Protestant. Here they signed the Concordance, 1929, and the smallest state in all the world is once again formed. The year is 1929. Now, in order to qualify as a political entity, in order to qualify as a beast, rather, you have to be a political entity. So in 1929, the Vatican State is again formed as a political entity, so we must again have a beast who lives. Is that right? So by 1929, everything was set up. The Roman Catholic Pact was signed, Vatican got its state back, and the wound was healed. By 1934, Yugoslavia, the Ustashi are founded, and they assassinate King Alexander of Yugoslavia. Now, who were the Ustashi? The Ustashi were a Nazi organization. They were actually subject and befriended by the Nazis. By 1941, Croatia declares its independence, and the Cardinal Secretary of the State, Eugene Pacelli, signs the Concordat with Germany in 1943. And there he was, Pacelli, who was later to become Pope. Very interesting. Now here's the whole Pacelli lineage. You have Marcantonio Pacelli, and this is a Masonic signal. I'll give you a couple. When they put the eyes to the top like that, when they stand with their feet at 90 degrees with their hands behind their back like that, that's a Masonic signal. When they signal like this and raise the eyes to the top, that's a Masonic signal. So that's a Masonic look. And then you had his Filippo Pacelli and Eugeni Pacelli, and they founded the Banco di Romano, that's where the money lies, with Rothschild money. And this man, Pope Pius, who was he? Well, after his election, his conclave had the symbolic number 13, by the way. There he is after his election, and he had this stamp printed, which is the Masonic one, which has the 13 leaves, which has the Masonic ribbon in it, and he had this stamp printed as well, or this portrait made, with its Masonic signal over there, just as Anthony Sayer, first Grand Master of the London Lodge, founded 1717, had. So now, occultism controlled the world in the religious sphere and in the political sphere. Secretary of State Pacelli, who was later to become the Pope, of course, visits George Washington during a private visit to the USA, the George Washington home, and he visits President Roosevelt. Now, who was Roosevelt? Roosevelt was, of course, a very high Freemason. References to all of this, there they are again, just in case somebody says this is thumbnology, you can really study it for yourself. Here's President F.D. Roosevelt with his lodge picture. He was a Freemason of the highest degrees, and therefore, according to our definition last night, a Luciferian. Here you see him with the Masonic handshake, Roosevelt and Myron Taylor, who he made special delegate to the Vatican after Pacelli's visit. So you have two great Freemasons over here working together with the Vatican. Now notice that handshake with the thumb on the back of the hand or on the knuckles. Normally like that, that is a typical Freemason handshake. We'll have to learn some signals to see how history actually ran. J. Edgar Hoover over here, President Dwight D. Eisenhower honors illustrious J. Edgar Hoover 33 Grand Cross at the special White House ceremony. So these people, also being 33-degree Freemasons, worship, according to what we studied last night, Lucifer. Now let me give you some Freemason hand signals. Well, these are the great politicians of the times. This comes out of a book exposing Freemasonry. It's all in the literature list. The finger of Freemasonry. If they point with the finger, now everybody can point like this, but when it is a photograph taken and published in a newspaper with the name of the specific news media attached to it, and then they have a statement underneath of whatever the event is, that's a Masonic signal. This one over here is a Masonic signal, sometimes with two fingers, sometimes over the eyes, the Masonic vision. These hand signals actually all come out of sun worship. You have these movements over here, which are also taken from Buddhism and sun worship. And the holding on to the tie. Here's a classic Masonic picture. Here you have Kissinger showing the finger, and in the back you have, in the mirror, you have the holding of the tie. And then it says this and the other is going to happen. These are Masonic signal pictures. The handshakes of Masonry That's one of the handshakes. There you can see the Masonic finger in one of their own documents. 1776, by the way, the 1st of May, was the founding of the Illuminati, so May Day that we keep today has to do with that. Freemason signs on the Phi Beta Kappa organization, so the finger, the dates are very important. The finger to the mouth, the symbol of Horus, the secret mysteries of Horus, we dealt with that last night. Freemason initiation with the 3 candles and the ceremonies. Here are lodge pictures of Freemasons. Let's have a look at how they stand. Very organized, very, very organized indeed. The whole ceremony that we have of opening of parliaments is based on Freemasonry. And here you can see some more interesting Freemason signals. This one, for example, is a Freemason one. That one over there is a Freemason one. So now what if a team, a football team, stands like this on the field? The owner of that football team is a Mason. And the whole system of sport is run by Freemasonry. They control sport, for example. Here's another interesting Freemason handshake. Notice it is just like this. You take the hand like this. And we'll see that the Pope uses this one very much as a signal picture. We need to know these signal pictures and Mason stance and Mason looks. Remember also that the United States has the symbol of Mitra and the goddess of liberty in this particular statue, and all these symbols of the United States and every other country in the world is based on occultism. In your own dollar, I know many of you know this already, the word one stands for the one. That's why you're one of the few countries in the world that still has a $1 as unit, the lowest unit. One is the symbol of Lucifer. Now, how many symbols of Lucifer are on this dollar note? Hundreds. Hundreds. We can't deal with them all. For example, you have the web of the spider everywhere over your dollar note, the web of the spider. In the New Age movement, in Masonry, the web of the spider is a symbol of Lucifer, who will eventually enweb the whole earth. Then you have your 2 seals of the United States on either side. And if we look at those, and you look at them a little bit more carefully, you have Annuit Cuptus Novus Ordo Seclorum, and you put the Masonic hexagram on top of it, then you have A, S, N, O, M, and those are the letters which can spell the word Mason. And you can also have alto on the other side. So if you look at these symbols, they are really quite fascinating. On the back of your dollar, you have the one symbol, and tiny, 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 like a little micro dot in the circle of the dollar, you will have the symbol of Moloch, which is the owl, the symbol of Moloch. Now there's the one, I've enlarged it for you. And there's the half circle, the symbol of the moon goddess. And there a tiny, tiny little dot, which is the symbol of Moloch, the owl. So let me enlarge it for you even more. There it is. And there you can have your little symbol sitting over there in the corner, the little symbol of Moloch, the owl. I've tried to enlarge it even more, but it gets a bit fuzzy when it gets to there. Now that coinage was always used in occult societies and in the society of the worship of the sun god. Let's have a look at the tetradrachman of the head of Athena, for example. There she is. On the reverse side, they would have the owl, the wisdom. Now, in your fairy tales, you always also have the owl as a symbol of the wisdom of Lucifer. It's the symbol of Lucifer. If you look at the Great Seal, you have Annuit Cuptus Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means a new order of the ages. Over there you have the numerals, which spell out 1776, which was, according to what you have, the day of your great festivities of the founding of the nation, but in actual fact it's the founding of the Illuminati. And you also have May Day, and then you have the ribbon of Moloch, which you can see enlarged for you over there. I have enlarged it.